Ugh, forgot my drink. Forgot my drink. Hello, Weenie. You gonna do a sit? Oh, wow, thank you. Hi, kids. Welcome back to another pizza party. I'm Mrs. Pizza. This beautiful creature with the wizened face is Winifred of Winterfeld, aka the Winnie. And back there, that is the cheese. Who is... Oh! Winnie decided to move the camera for us. She did not like cheese being the star of the show. Winnie is the star of the show. She has plopped herself right down here. We are here today to do a spooky season TBR. Why? Why, you ask? And I say, because I can. Because I can. Because it is what I am able to do. I am actually terrible at following TBRs. There is an exception to that. If I make a seasonal TBR, I tend to be able to work through a significant percentage of those books. I need to give myself a decent chunk of time and not limit it to like, this is what I'm going to read in this month. I am highly impressed by people who can do that. The way your brain works is what I aspire to, but I am not capable. My brain will not let me do those things. So we are going to make a seasonal TBR. There are definitely some books that I am going to be reading that did not make it on this TBR because I decided to focus on the spooky books that I'm trying to get to in the next couple of months during this spectacular spooky season. Some of the other books that might be arriving this week, and I keep checking the shipping, and she should be here by Wednesday. But she's not on this list. Don't look at her. She's not on this list. First things first. Ooh. Not bad. Not bad at all. Unfortunately, I didn't have any cold Diet Coke, so this is a room temperature Diet Coke, which one of my horrible personal traits is I can drink a drink at any temperature and usually prefer it at room temperature, which disgusts almost everyone. I don't mind it. I blame it on the fact that my grandma used to keep all of our cans of soda on her screened-in porch, and she lived in Florida, so they were like baking hot. I used to drink hot soda. All right, let's do this. The first couple of books we're going to talk about are some ones that I've recently picked up from the library. They just got here. They're in my little grubby paws, and I am ready to pick them up and read real fast. All right, the first one, Come Closer. This is a book when I went through the process of reading The Exorcist and Head Full of Ghosts. When you look up books that are similar to that, having to do with demonic possession, this is the one. This is the one that's at the top of the list next to those. I know absolutely nothing about this book other than it involves a demonic possession and it's supposed to be ooky spooky scary. On the back, it has basically like a checklist, like a bullet point list that says, are you possessed by a demon? And then a bunch of bullet points that would be things that you would check off if you are possessed by a demon. I have new activities and pastimes that seem out of character, and I do things that I did not intend and do not understand. I can understand languages I've never studied and have the ability to know things I couldn't know through ordinary means. I have blackouts not caused by drugs, alcohol, or a pre-existing health condition. I have urges to hurt or kill animals and other people. I have hurt or killed animals or people. Unexplained noises in the house, strange incidents at work, a reoccurring dream featuring a seductive but terrifying woman. Are these signs of insanity, or is Amanda, a happily married architect, an unwitting host to demonic possession? Sure. I have found a lot of success in reading demonic possession books, and I like the different takes, the different avenues that authors have to give you a good demon possession, a good possession story. The next book I just picked up from the library is House of Beth, and this cover, although albeit very shiny. This says, after a heart-wrenching breakup with her girlfriend and a shocking incident at her job, Cassie flees her life as an overworked assistant in New York for her hometown in New Jersey along the Delaware River. There, she reconnects with her high school best friend Eli, now a widowed father of two. Their bond reignites, and within a few short months, Cassie is married to Eli, living in his house in the woods, homeschooling the kids, and getting to know their reserved neighbor Joan. But Cassie's fresh start is less ideal than she'd hoped. She grapples with harm OCD, her mind conjuring gory graphic images, and she's afraid that she'll never measure up to Eli's late spouse. No matter what Cassie does, Beth's shadow still permeates every corner of their house. Soon, Cassie starts hearing a voice narrating the house's secrets. As she listens, the voice grows stronger, guiding Cassie down a path to uncover the truth about Beth's untimely death. This is a debut novel by this author and sounds very what happened to your wife. Like, if somebody marries you super fast and moves you out to the middle of the woods, you should be wary. If a cat just walked by and neither one of the dogs noticed. It's the cat from the cat incident a few videos back. This sounds a little more on like the thrillery, spooky side. This says it's a ghost story, a love story, and a spiral all at once. House of Beth. Sounds good, right? And the last book that I picked up on this most recent trip, All Hallows. This, I think, takes place on actual Halloween, which is big plus signs, check marks all over the place. Takes place in 1984 in Coventry, Massachusetts. So it's Halloween in the 80s in New England. Like, could the vibes get any better? Two families are unraveling. Up and down the street, secrets are being revealed, and all the while, mixed in the trick-or-treaters of all ages, 4 children who do not belong are walking door to door, merging with the kids of Perimeter Road. Children in vintage costumes with faded, eerie makeup. They seem terrified and beg the neighborhood kids to hide them and keep them safe from the cunning man. I heard someone say that this gives a little bit of that like Goonies, Stranger Things, these kids that are in over their head in circumstances that are slightly dangerous. I was looking for something that took place on Halloween. This is a Halloween book, and I love a group of ragtag kids. Whether they're the good guys or the bad guys, I just love watching a group of kids do something way above their pay grade. And the most recent audiobook that I have received from the library is The Devils by Jo Abercrombie. I read the first Law. Is that what it's called? Yes. I read the first Law trilogy and had a really good time. It is a grim, dark fantasy and very dark, gritty, violent fantasy trilogy that I truly enjoyed. It was something that I have a friend that reads fantasy, and that is the series that he shoves upon everyone. He wants everyone to read it so they can talk about it. I now understand him having given me the first book and been like, read this so we can talk about it, please. And after I finished all 3 books, I was like, we can converse. That was amazing. This author's newest book, The Devils, I believe is the beginning of a new series, which, if I am not mistaken, has also already been picked up for adaptation. But this is a dark fantasy novel taking place like in our world, but a fantasy version of our world. This is featuring a notorious band of anti-heroes on a delightfully bloody and raunchous journey. Holy work sometimes requires unholy deeds. Brother Diaz has been summoned to the sacred city where he is certain a commendation and grand holy assignment awaits him, but his new flock is made of unrepentant murderers, practitioners of ghastly magic, and outright monsters. So we're going to have monsters and bad guys. It's like Suicide Squad. It's like Suicide Squad, but make it fantasy. And by this author who can do these grim, dark, violent fantasies really, really well. I'm really excited to read The Devils. Now for some books I'm still waiting for the library to grace me with. The Butcher's Daughter. This is the untold story of Mrs. Lovett from Sweeney Todd. This is basically a reimagining, retelling of the Sweeney Todd story from the point of view of a character that, if you've seen the play, seen the movie, you know that Mrs. Lovett is the one making the meat pies. We all know what was going into the meat pies. This says, London, England, 1887. At the abandoned apartment of a missing young woman, a dossier of evidence is collected, ordered chronologically, and sent to the chief inspector of the London police for review. It contains a curious correspondence between an inquisitive journalist, Miss Ebely Gibson, and the woman Gibson thinks may be the infamous Mrs. Lovett, Sweeney Todd's accomplice, who baked men into pies and sold them in her pie shop on Fleet Street. We're going to get some sort of investigation going on, a correspondence between these two people. We're assuming that who she's corresponding with is Mrs. Lovett, but also there is this mystery of what happened to this reporter or what happened to Mrs. Lovett. Just mystery, wrapped in a conundrum, all based on a Broadway musical. I love a retelling, a reimagining, and I like when we get a different character, we get enlightened by a new character's point of view, and Sweeney Todd is just so freaking gruesome. Like, it is carnage, and so to get Mrs. Lovett's point of view, I'm I think it's going to be the good times. Also, hopefully showing up soon, House of Monstrous Men. This is a gothic story taking place in a location that I have never read a gothic story from before, and so caught my attention. Sounded pretty fun. A young woman is drawn into a dangerous game of being invited to a maze-like home of her childhood friend, a rumored witch, in this gothic horror set in 1986 Philippines. Josephine Del Rosario feels like a pariah in her town. Long orphaned after her father's political campaign ends in tragedy, she's all alone, taking care of a family while her older brother is off in Manila where revolution brews. And it's starting to feel like he's abandoned her. When she receives a letter from a cherished childhood friend inviting her to play a game, she jumps at the reason to leave town. So we've got some sort of family dynamic going on, some sort of brewing revolution happening in the background while we're stuck in this giant maze-like home with our character who needs change in her life and it seems like might be willing to pay for it with blood. There is nothing about that description that doesn't sound fun. Fun is a subjective word. It shouldn't. Sounds like an interesting and engaging read. There, is that better? Because fun is inappropriate. I shouldn't call gory, awful, maze-like things fun. The next book we're going to talk about is going to be Strange Pictures. This is the author of Strange Houses, which I read not too long ago. It was a very incredibly quick read about a floor plan that is off and a trio of people who are investigating why this strange floor plan might exist and what sinister motives might be behind having the different secret hidden things that are found within these floor plans in these homes that are for sale. It was super fast, very interesting in the format that it is created, and I liked it because it was so different. The mystery itself wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but also interesting, and I think the experience of reading this book is really what is the draw to it. I think the story itself is fine. It's good. It's fine. It's passable. It's the experience of how the author is telling the story that really is engaging and worth your time. I decided to pick up Strange Pictures after reading Strange Houses because I wanted another book by this author. This author is also an illustrator, and it's really the visual format that I'm interested in. In this one, it's the exploration of the macabre where seemingly mundane takes on a terrifying significance. A pregnant woman's sketches on a seemingly innocuous blog conceal a chilling warning. A child's pictures of his home contain a dark secret message. A sketch made by a murder victim in his final moments leads an amateur sleuth down a rabbit hole that will reveal a horrifying reality. I'm just interested to see another book by this author and something that was so wholly original in its formatting, how it was taking place. Strange Houses was such a quick read. I don't expect this to be anything different, and I'm excited to pick it up for spooky season. Maybe as like a little palate cleanser, something real quick between some larger books, you know? If you know anything about me, you know that creepy mushrooms, stagnant water, forests that have sinister motives are something that I definitely enjoy in horror. And so the next book that I hope the library will be getting to me soon is The Girl in the Creek. It is a pulse-pounding eco-horror about how climate change is transforming our world. Aaron's brother Brian has been missing for 5 years. It was if he simply walked into the forest of the Pacific Northwest and vanished. Determined to uncover the truth, Aaron heads to the foothills of Mount Hood, where Brian was last seen alive. He isn't the first hiker to go missing in this area, and their cases go unsolved. When she discovers the corpse of a local woman in a creek, Erin unknowingly puts herself in the crosshairs of very powerful forces from this world and beyond, hell-bent on keeping their secrets buried. So we are going to be lost in the woods looking for our brother, and there is some sort of like bog lady. Why do I keep reading books about bog ladies? There's some sort of like water lady that is going to come out, and it doesn't sound good that she shows up, okay? The cover is eerie and magnificent. I love eco horror. I'm excited about picking this book up. Our next book, the comp titles, the if you like this, then you'll like this book, is what got me. And that is You Weren't Meant to Be Human. Alien meets Midsummer in this chilling debut adult novel. I'm sorry. You mean two movies that I really enjoy and scare the absolute bananas out of me, which is not a thing. How would you scare bananas out of someone? But I have to read you, I've been reading you all of them, but I'm going to read you this because it's honestly a wild ride. You ready? Let's do this. Festering masses of worms and flies have taken root in dark corners across Appalachia. In exchange for unwavering loyalty and fresh corpses, these hives offer a few struggling humans salvation, a fresh start. It's an offer that none refuse. Crane is grateful. Among his hive's followers, Crane has found a chance to transition, to never speak again, to live a life that won't destroy him. He even met Levi, a handsome ex-Marine and brutal killer who treats him like a real man, mostly. But when Levi gets Crane pregnant and the hive demands the child's birth, no matter the cost, Crane's desperation to make it stop will drive the community that saved him into a devastating spiral that can only end in blood. It is a alien worm, and then a pregnancy, and then horror. Just horror. It sounds like, honestly, like something I've never read before. So that is the constant search, right? For someone that is just doing something completely of their own creation. I find pregnancy to also be terrifying. So that would also be just worms, aliens. Just tell me that you're not at least curious, right? You're just a little intrigued. The next book we're going to talk about is from an author that I have read quite a few books from. I feel like every year I pick up her version of werewolves, her version of witches, her version of the Antichrist, her version of vampires. And this year we have Rachel Harrison's versions of a haunted house. It's called Play Nice. This is the story of an influencer who has to move back into her haunted house. Cleo Louise Barnes leads a picture-perfect life as a stylist and influencer, but beneath the glossy veneer, she harbors a not-so-glamorous secret. She grew up in a haunted house. Well, not haunted. Possessed. After Cleo's parents' messy divorce, her mother, Alex, moved Cleo and her sisters into a house occupied by a demon, or so Alex claimed. That's not what Cleo's sisters remember or what the courts determined when they stripped Alex of custody after she went off the deep end. But Alex insisted. She even wrote a book about her experience. After Alex's sudden death, the supposedly possessed house passes to Cleo and her sisters. Where her sisters see childhood trauma, Cleo sees an opportunity for house flipping content. Only as the home makeover process begins, Cleo discovers there might be some truth to her mother's claims. So we have someone that is trying to make house flipping content in a possessed by a demon house where all of their childhood trauma happened. Rachel Harrison does a really good job of using horror elements to talk about something else. And so I'm looking forward to this haunted house being how we talk about the trauma of perhaps a toxic relationship with a parent. And the last book, which I personally own, but I feel like I should put it on this list in order to hold myself accountable because I have determined that, damn it, I'm going to read it this spooky season. What the heck was that? Are you okay? Sorry for the angle change. Winnie just, I think, fell asleep and had some sort of night terror and woke herself up, and we had to reassess and reconfigure our lives. The last book that we are going to, 1000%, I'm going to do it. You ready? The Stand by Stephen King. Look at the size of this absolute monster. Last year, during the month of October, I made my way through this absolute chunk. Look at that. If I can read this, I can read anything. It is deceiving though. How many? I think that's, but look how tiny. The words are so small. I am overwhelmed. I have been told by many a person who is a Stephen King fan that this is something that I need to endeavor to read. This is a apocalyptic virus story, and we have the supernatural magical elements that Stephen King puts into his world. I believe this is also somehow involved with the Dark Tower, which is something that I have a lot of apprehension about ever picking up because Dark Tower / Stephen King fans are very opinionated and do not like it when you do not agree with them. But I understand. You're a fan and you don't want anybody to yuck your yum. I get it. I'm very, very nervous about picking this up. If you've read this, please tell me it's worth it. Like, I don't want to spend this much time reading a book for it to not be worth it. Like, do we like The Stand, or is it just like more required reading like it was? I'm nervous. But that, kids, is our spooky season TBR. And spooky season lasts as long as I wanted to, so I'll get through these books, hopefully, as the weather cools down, as everything has got pumpkin flavor thrown on top of it, as we just descend into pumpkin carving chaos. But if you had fun hanging out with me and the dogs, please subscribe. If any of these books have made it onto your spooky season TBR, let me know. I'm interested to see what books overlap with other people, because I feel like everybody, we covet like the spooky season vibes and we just make our little dragon horde of them. And when I hear about other people's books, I'm like, I didn't even know that book existed. That's so exciting. I'll see you next time.